Well, hello, Lori. How are you?
Lynette, I'm great. How are you?
Good, good, good. I am excited to have you back. We already have had one podcast episode with you. We talked a lot about getting ready for dating. For all the listeners out there, Lori is a dating coach and online profile writer. And she has a business, Smart, Single, Funny. And she is here to have a part 2 of our podcast where the first part of our podcast, our first episode, we talked a lot about sort of getting ready for dating and, sort of what sort of things in midlife, what should we be thinking about in terms of preparing ourselves for dating, not just jumping in and just signing up to every dating app out there. Now, the second episode is, okay, so you're ready. You've got the mental game going. You've got everything moving along, and now you're ready to hit start. So that's where I want to continue the conversation with you, Lori. Mm-hmm. First and foremost, why don't you give the audience just a little introduction to you, just to remind who you are and what you do?
Yes, be happy to. Thank you, Lynette. So my name is Lori Mendelsohn, and I'm a dating coach, matchmaker, and online profile writer for dating apps. And my business is called Smart, Funny, Single, and you can add a .com if you want to visit my website. And what my main focus is people who are over 50, who are in midlife, who are divorced, who are widowed or widowers, and who have not been out in the dating scene for 20, 30 years. They're fresh in the game. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to navigate it. They don't know what to look for. They're starting from scratch. So it's basically going to dating school and learning how to present yourself, how to market yourself, what kind of questions to ask on dates, what to do, what not to do, red flags, green flags, yellow flags, all those different flags. And that's what I work with my clients on, is really getting them past the mindset of there are no good people out there. And I am testimony to say that there are great people out there. And
that's right.
That's what I help my clients with.
And that's awesome, Lori. Actually, let's just start right there. Mm-hmm. I've got a list full of questions for you, but when we get a little older and we start dating, I mean, it's a way different scene, obviously, than when we were dating in our teens and early 20s. And we start to sort of look at dating as this thing where, oh, well, he or she might have too much baggage, or, we all have a little bit more baggage as we get older. So, and I think we do get in our mind that, I've tried dating a couple of times. It hasn't worked. It's a big hassle. And we do start to resign ourselves to the fact that there may not be anybody out there for me at this age. Mm-hmm. So how do you dispel that?
Well, I would say the first thing to do, Lynette, is at this age, how about reversing it and saying, okay, there isn't anyone coming forward right now. Just right now. That's all I have to worry about is today. If you're on the dating apps, you know that tomorrow you're going to get a fresh crop of people, or you'll be getting a fresh crop of people in a week. Or if you just actively stay on the app and reach out to people and answer people, the algorithm will boost you to show that you have activity. And that will keep you fresh, on the list of people who are actively looking. And the best thing to do is have the attitude that, okay, if not today, tomorrow, I'm in this. It's going to be a process. It's not going to happen overnight. And have reasonable expectations about what this whole dating thing looks like. That gone are the days that we used to go out with someone and by second or third date, we were exclusive. We knew we were heading down a path of either exclusivity or engagement or marriage. And the thing that is so different now, Lynette, with these apps is, in the old days when we were younger, there was context to who we knew, what we knew about them. We knew about them through friends, family, community, work, etc. Now what we're looking at are screens with people who could make up their own stories that are, untruthful. We really don't know. We don't know who these people are. So we have to give it an opportunity to percolate and converse and give it time to rise like baking bread. You have to let the yeast rise.
So you actually said something very interesting. So gone are the days where, you meet somebody and you go out on a few dates with them
Mm-hmm.
and you then declare sort of this exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because that actually, I find that super intriguing.
Yeah. So what most dating coaches like to encourage is doing something called rotational dating. And rotational dating means that you're dating more than one person at a time. Because the idea of dating actually is to collect data, to get to know someone, see how compatible you are with the really important things in one's life, our core values, our family values, what is precious to us, what brings us joy. It's not the material things, it's the emotional, mental things that are really important to connect upon. And when you do that, you get to know several people at once. You keep it very casual. You don't build expectation. You don't put anything on a relationship that hasn't yet developed. You don't put any responsibility, and you don't put any unknown expectation on the relationship yet, because it takes time to get to know someone. And so in the olden days, when we did know someone, when we had the context of friends, family, work, school, whatever, we knew something more about them. We don't have that anymore, unfortunately. So to rotationally date is gathering information on one or more people. I personally can't do it. I just can't. I don't have the brain power to remember everyone's story. And so I like to do one at a time. I think that that's only right for me, but it isn't right for everyone.
Okay. Okay. So, all right. So let's take a step back a little bit and let's talk about, okay, so now I am ready to date. And I know that there's different, types of apps for different types of dating. You mentioned in our first episode together, if you're just looking for a hookup, Tinder is your game. But okay. So let's say, maybe we could promote a couple of sites today, but mostly I'm curious about, how do I prepare my profile to get it onto one of these apps, whether it's Bumble, whether it's, Match or whatever? What am I trying to, like, what is sort of the structure of a profile, if you will?
Well, what you would do is call me Lynette, but anyway.
Yeah, of course. Yes, exactly.
let me write it. But other than that, what I describe is, I always ask everyone to, if they're going to do it on their own, write a story. Write it in story form. You're telling this other person who you are, what your life is like, and how that other person could be included in it. Versus, I need this, I need that, I want this, he's got to be this, she's got to be that. And because when people read profiles like that are, here's what I have to have, they immediately dismiss them because they feel that they will never reach what that person's expectations are. So if you write it in a story form, for example, I was born and raised in, and like the biggest joys of my life were having children and seeing them off to college. And after that, my life opened up and blah, 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 blah. And here's where I want to go in my life. And here's where I see a partner. I'm looking for a travel buddy. I'm looking for a playmate. I want someone to hike with, bike with, enjoy life with, have fun with. So the person can see that in the profile and say, God, I like the way this person sounds. I'm going to contact this person. They seem happy. They don't seem demanding, and they don't have high expectations. So that's writing in the profile. But before even writing the profile, it is an imperative to have great photos. And if you really are going to go into doing dating apps the right way, I encourage everyone to schedule a professional photo shoot. Get at least 3 pictures. One is you, is your head. One is your body, and one is you in an activity. You know, do not put pictures of you and your friends because we don't know who you are and we don't know who your friends are. We may want to go out with your friend instead of you. Um, don't just put pictures up just to put pictures up. And for God's sakes, don't put pictures up that are, quote, back in the day. Because we're not dating you back in the day. We're dating you right now.
So how many photos am I really like, and do I really want like that professional look? Like, aren't people sort of looking for that natural, more, so when you say like book a professional shoot, what does that really mean?
Well, what it means is that the lighting, that the makeup, that the hair,
Yeah.
that you're composed, that you
Okay.
look professional. Because most, if you're a professional, chances are you're going to be looking for a professional too. Now, we're not talking about a headshot for LinkedIn. We're talking
Yeah.
about you doing something that's kind of quirky, or smiling, or you're with your dog, or you're with, something. You're in your kitchen, whatever. You can make
Okay.
your set whatever it is that you want it to be.
Okay. Yeah,
It
that
can be a
that
studio,
sounds good.
But
Okay, perfect.
one of my clients, a man, did a photo shoot, and I also wrote his profile for him. And he was mobbed by women because they said, "God, your pictures are great. Are you really as good as your profile?" And he had the pick of the litter. So,
Right.
yeah.
But okay, so now that kind of makes me wonder too, like, when you think about this online dating world and you're saying it, we don't know these people, they don't know who we are. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is this whole catfishing thing. So
Yeah.
you've got this guy that's got these great photos
Mhm.
and they think, "Oh, wow, this guy isn't true."
Yeah.
So how do you prevent that? Like, how do you prevent coming across almost too polished where it looks like you potentially are getting catfished,
Mhm.
you know?
Well, I'll tell you, the biggest catfishers are offshore engineers, and they're great looking,
Oh,
and they're always offshore engineers, even if you're landlocked. I mean, that in
yeah.
itself is like a red flag. Okay, what is an
Right.
offshore engineer doing in Oklahoma?
Right. Okay.
It just doesn't add up. But the way to not get catfish, and this is not guaranteed, Lynette, because I do not
Yeah.
know who knows what these characters are doing behind the scenes. But what I do is I have a little bit of text conversation. I then invite them to call me. I have a Google number that I use, so they never get my phone number. I have a conversation with them. If I like the way that the conversation is going, I will then either go on FaceTime or Zoom and see if they are who they say they are. And I also get their last name. And I also give them my last name. And I get their last name so I can do a background check. And I am a member of a online service called Spokio, which does background checks on people. It shows you their court cases, their arrest record, their
Oh,
parking
wow.
tickets. And it really goes deep into who these people are. And
That's
I
crazy.
encourage everyone to make that investment because it's an investment in your safety.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so we've got this profile. We, the first thing we're doing before even writing anything, before hiring you to write our profile, we are getting a few professional photos taken.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like, what do you think about putting, like, what types of content is in that photo? Like you had mentioned, sometimes maybe it's you in your kitchen or sitting on the deck, but I see so many photos of where they've had pictures of friends or whatever, and they've blocked out their friend's face, or they're holding the fish. The fish photo is like, for me, it's just, no, please stop already. Yes, I get it. I know we talked about that before, it's showcasing a little bit of like, they can provide for me,
Yes.
but it is a bit like, okay, the fish photo. But okay, so how many photos am I putting on there? Like 5, 6, 2, 3?
No less than 3 and no more than 6.
Okay. So between 3 and 6 photos,
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry.
preferably.
I'm so sorry about this dinging. I'm sorry. I have it. It's quit. So I'm sorry. Please go ahead. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we've got some photos. So the idea is to have 3 to 6 photos, preferably of just you, not of friends or daughters or sons where their face is blocked out. Just remove that out of the picture right away.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of open up to getting to know you first before beyond like the deeper you kind of thing.
Yes.
And then in terms of safely dating, that was another question. So, we talked a little bit about like, how do you find out about that person behind the scene? And I do know that sometimes like on these dating apps, I think it almost becomes a bit of an addiction for some people, where you just start to engage in all of these texting conversations. Like, when do you finally say, okay, enough texting, enough back and forth?
Mm-hmm.
Let's, one or two interactions, and then it's sort of get on to a Zoom call. A lot of these apps, I know you can do a Zoom call
Mm-hmm.
or video call right through the app.
Yes.
So, you're not divulging any personal phone numbers or anything like that. So how long does that, from the time you meet them to the time you jump on and get to know, like, when do you know that it's just going to be a texting thing versus it could potentially turn into something else?
I wait a couple of days. I'll do a couple of days of texting and then I'll say, let's get on a phone call. And
Right.
Lynette, you said it. There are some people that the conversation is to put it mildly dull. And the back and forth banter isn't there. And you're just kind of taking up time and space, holding this
Right.
person and talking to them, and then it'll never go anywhere. So those are the ones that you can keep in your queue, but they're not the ones that you really want to jump on. Ones that you want to jump on are the ones that you have a witty repartee going. You seem to be having fun. You have some things in common. You want to hear what this person's voice is like. You want to hear if they can form complete sentences, or you want to hear if they're from another country with a funny accent, which in itself will give it away that they're, catfishing.
Yeah.
So, there's something I do want to share. A girlfriend of mine who is in her early 70s and very young and very fit and trim and vital and so on was, she was swindled. And the way and she didn't know what to do about this, but the way that she was swindled was this: she had spoken to this man for 6 months. Okay, that in itself, you don't talk to someone for 6 months and never do a Zoom call and never do FaceTime kind of thing.
Right.
She made up excuses every single time that she wanted to do that. And instead of saying goodbye, she just kept it going. So shame on her for doing that. You don't do that. You don't go on months and months and months. You just don't.
So that's red flag number 1, when they don't want to, kind of get onto that video call. They take it to move it from the texting to something else. Okay.
Exactly.
Red flag number 1.
And then he asked her, he said that he was having some medical issues and that he asked for money. And she at this point had an emotional investment in this man. But again, you get a Google number, you get their last name, you do a background check on them, even the smallest background check of going on Facebook, going on LinkedIn, going on any other social app to see who they are and what they're about, mm-hmm. See if they really are who they are. And you'll also get to see their real age, which is, I know, something, that we talked about a little bit earlier, that people lie. People lie about their ages. They lie about their height. They lie about what they look like, and that's what's so important, is to have a visual to see if this person really does match the photos.
Exactly. Okay, perfect. So that's actually, that's good. And that sort of brings me to my next question, which is like, how do you, like, we talked about like, how long should you give someone if you know that he or she is not the one? Mm-hmm. So I know a lot of people tell me, Lynette, you got to give it a couple 3 or 4 dates, give it some time. Mm-hmm. But for me, I personally know that I can tell instantly if there's this attraction. Mm-hmm. And it's maybe not even just, like a physical attraction. It's just the energy that person's giving off, or, whatever, I can just tell. Mm-hmm. And so for me, I have tried that. Well, give it a couple of times. Mm-hmm. And it's actually horrible. I hate doing that. So for me, I can just like, what's next, next, next.
Yeah.
I can almost do that immediately.
Yeah.
But what's your recommendation? Like, how long do you actually give it? I mean, because I think that in some cases, as we get older, we do feel like the inventory is a little bit lower. And so there's not a lot of inventory out there, if you will, and a lot of options. And so we sometimes try to retrofit people into something, and we really know that it's probably not the best thing.
I love that word retrofit, Lynette. I'd steal that from your playbook. That's really good. So, okay. So the answer to that is threefold. I know people's energy, and I know when I like being around someone, and I know when I loathe being around someone. And if I feel like you get away from me, that's like that's a hard pass. It's next, So that would end very quickly. But if I enjoy someone's company and I think they're fun and they're funny and we have things in common and we like to do the same things, why not continue to go out with them? Because if you are rotationally dating, you're not making a commitment. And
right.
Sometimes people, and not sometimes, all times people take time to, like wine, take time to develop to their best taste. And so someone may be really uncomfortable dating and really clumsy with dating. And so if you feel that there may be a connection, a small spark, not a roaring fire, but a small spark, I would give it time. Because, with these dating apps, we have this expectation that it's going to be right away, that it's going to be instant. And we all know relationships do not work that way. The ones that do burn out very quickly if it's all passion and all chemistry, which probably would be a good way for me to lead into what's important, right?
Yeah.
Should we do that?
Exactly. Yeah, okay. For sure. Because that was a question. How do we determine what's really important to us? Right. And, we've talked about, do you create the list? Sometimes that list, the list of sort of the things that you're looking for in that person, in a partner. Yeah. And we talked about this earlier in our episode 1 about, not putting too much expectation on that list, because sometimes we're creating a list that's probably a little unrealistic in terms of finding all of that in one person. So exactly, how do you determine what's important?
Well, I think that we all need to determine what is truly important. What our non-negotiables are, which is what I call them, and what our likes would be. And I don't even think there's a must-have list. So unless it's a pulse,
yeah.
or a social security number or something, naturalization papers. But on the list for me, and this is what I teach my client, are the number one thing are core values. Do you align in the way that you think about life? Right. Is this a person who does the right thing always? Who is honest? Who is loyal? Who is forthright? Who shows up? Who is consistent? Who potentially has a great family? Who has a great relationship with people? Possibly an ex-wife, an ex-husband, someone who has friends, someone who has a community. These are things to me that are the most important thing. Chemistry is also important, but chemistry can grow. And to me, in chemistry, if you really look at how often you're intimate, it's a small amount of time in compared to the time that you're with someone and building a relationship and working on the core values and aligning that way, And then I think that the third thing is realizing, do you have fun with this person? Do you enjoy their company? Do they add value to your life? Or are they a mental and physical and spiritual drain for you? Do you feel when you come home, you're like, it's like the lifeblood out of me.
Yeah.
Does that person really complement and add to your life?
Right.
In a good way.
So Right. And so those are things that you can make a list for, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what is important to you in terms of their character, and how does, like, what, what are your values? Like, this is also part of you getting ready, is sort of writing down what's important for you, and how do you want to behave and act, and then sort of matching that person. So let's say I've met somebody now. We've chatted a couple of times. We've had a video call.
Yeah.
When do you start to? Um, I mean, when do you start to actually like declare what you're looking for in a relationship? Like, when do you go from like, wow, this is kind of fun and flirty and we're having a good time, to, okay, maybe this is a person that I'd like to spend more time with.
Yeah.
And you haven't quite had that conversation yet
Mm-hmm.
about what are you looking for? How do you have that conversation, and how important is it to have that conversation early in the relationship?
Imperative. And here's the reason why. Because what I suggest to everyone is, when not in your banter when you're online on the app, and not if you're emailing each other, but I would say the first time that you're actually speaking to someone, you say to them, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a serious monogamous relationship. I would like to meet someone that this is my last first date. If that is what you're looking for, what are you looking for?
And so you're having that conversation like right when you're like right early in the game, or are you kind of,
Yeah,
yeah,
because do you want to waste your time?
no,
You know,
right,
and you don't want to be aligned with someone that's like, yeah, you know what, I just want to date a whole bunch of people and I want to go out
right,
and have a good time. Okay, that's great. Thank you for letting me know. I'm sure
yep,
we'd have a good time together on a date, but I'm looking for someone who is going to be more serious minded, who is looking
right.
for monogamy, who wants to
Okay.
get
And
these
the first thing I can think of right now, I can hear many women and men, because they've been sort of that rotational dating, that,
yeah,
like, kiss a lot of frogs or toads to
yeah.
find your prince or princess or whatever. And it is like, I feel like sometimes they just want it to work so badly that they're willing to sort of let that, even though they've asked the question, they still feel like, okay, well, I could probably change him, or I could probably change her, or, I'm sure the longer we hang out together, the more we will grow together, and he will for sure want to commit to me later, or he will look for that. And I think that happens. That has to happen, because I hear it all the time within my girlfriend group. It is really interesting. And I've heard it from men as well.
Mm-hmm.
So when do you stop trying to, like, how do you avoid creating that story, that narrative, really?
Is the question that you're asking me, Lynette, when do you stop dating someone, if you know that it's not going the direction that you want, or is it?
Yeah, like, listen to the answer. The
Yeah.
question, you're asking this question,
Mm-hmm.
what are you looking for in this relationship? Or what are you looking for being in this dating world? And if they say, well, just, right now I'm just kind of dating, rotationally dating, I'm
Yeah.
dating a few people, kind of getting to know people, I'm not really sure yet.
Yeah.
Like, is that a red flag? Number
No,
two, is that,
no,
no?
it's not a red flag, but does it align with what you're looking for? That's the thing. So if you are on these dating apps to meet someone and get off the dating apps, it's important to ask the question quickly, soon into the conversations. What is it? What describe to me, paint the picture. I always use the term paint the picture to me what a great relationship looks like that you would be interested in joining. What does that look
Right.
like? And they could say, well, I only want to date one person. I wanted to lead the marriage, or I right now I'm not really sure. I'm fresh out of a divorce. I want to date a lot of people. If you're not hearing what it is that you're seeking, you're not going to change that person. The only person who can change is you and the way that you think about things. We can't change people, even though we all want to. We all think we can. We can't. We can with resentment, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No, okay, so that's good.
quick, it's like, come on, people. They're not here for fun, although
Yeah.
it should be fun, but align, see what it is that people are looking for. Do you align with what they're looking for? Do they align with you? Do they align with your core values? Do they align with your hobbies, interests, your view of the world, your political view? How you're not going to find someone who's 100% ever. If you find 70%, you're really lucky. But on the things that are really important, you've got to align, and you have to fish and cut bait if they're saying, well, the minute they say, well, okay, next. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's good. So, because I think that for me, I think about asking that question early in the game, and it makes me a little bit nervous.
Of
Like
course.
I don't know how to ask that question.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, okay, so, but I guess for you, what you're saying is just come across, like, be that confident you,
Mm-hmm.
and, get super prepared before you get into the whole dating world. What is it that you're looking for? What's important for you?
Right.
And what is that? Like, what is that? Like, are you also just kind of, cause if you're, sort of flipping through a magazine still kind of thing, like still looking kind of, this rotational dating, and you're actually happy doing that, and you're okay to have 2 or 3 dates going at one time, and, you're not looking for a commitment from anybody, then great. But I would probably suggest what you're saying at the beginning, get super clear about where is that relationship going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to go into a commitment road. It could just be, I'm just here. I'm dating. I'm trying to figure out what I want.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're happy with that response, then that's okay too.
Right.
I remember, I'll never forget this. It was years ago. I was dating somebody, and it was very early in our dating process. And I remember one night he said to me, is there any reason why this relationship couldn't go to the next level? And I thought it was such a great way of asking me. I actually at first thought, wow, what is he even saying to me? Because no one has ever really been that declarative or that sort of specific. And I really thought that was a really nice way of saying it. And in fact, I've used it myself, kind of like, where, instead of saying, where is this going? It's more like, where's your mindset in terms of, can it go to a different level, or are you stuck at this spot here because of whatever?
I like that.
I really like, I really like that as well.
Yeah.
So the one thing we talked a little bit about, and I want to expand a little bit more on, is what we often can refer to as baggage because of our age, and we've got, exes and kids and all that kind of stuff. So how do you manage dating when you have, another family really, as part of it, so what sort of things should you be thinking about too, when you start to like date somebody who has maybe a child that's still living at home, or, an ex that is terrible to work with? How do you manage that kind of stuff? How do you keep that? How do you bring that, I guess, into your relationship without it impacting your relationship, if you will?
Well, that's something that you could bring up, in the early stages is, tell me about your family. Tell me about your children, and tell me about the responsibilities that you have with them. Do you have shared custody? Are they grown? Are they out of the house? What's the situation? Do you have any special needs kids, etc.? How much time per week do you spend with your children? How much time you see on a weekly basis you may be able to devote to dating or to building a relationship? These are all things that if you have kids and responsibilities, you can ask them, because they're going to want to know the same thing about you. If a guy asks you out and you have 5 kids between the ages of 5 and 20, there's going to be some time that needs to be spent with those kids. So people want to imagine where they fit into your life. you know?
Right. Right.
And you can ask, what feasibly, if this were to launch, how much time could we spend together? How much time would you want to spend together? How much time do you need and want alone? Do you like space? What's an ideal amount of time spent if we were to get into a relationship together? I think people are so afraid of asking questions, Lynette.
I agree.
they're afraid that it's like, whoa, she went too far, she scared me off, or you know what? Let that strong man or woman be left standing, is what I say.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like
No, I love that.
I had a conversation with someone. I asked him, I'd like to hear about your relationship with money because I don't want to be dating someone who's broke. I
Right.
just don't. Not that I'm asking this man to support me, but I'd just like to know, does he have a habit of spending more than he makes? Has he declared bankruptcy, et cetera, et cetera? That's important to me. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think you're right. Like, I think it does come back down to getting yourself ready before you're putting yourself out there, because you're going to get yourself into a situation where if you're not ready, if you don't understand what's important to you, if you don't understand the right questions, what you're willing to be flexible on, if you will, in terms of, kids and other things that they have in their life, then I think it just becomes super complicated. So spending that time I know it's not the perfect list, but a list of things that are important to you,
Right.
and even just questions that you're curious about, they can come across in a very positive manner. And you're right, like, have the confidence to say it, or ask those questions, because if their response is, in a negative light, they're leaving you. If they're leaving you today, they're leaving you 5 days from now or 2 weeks from now or whatever, if they can't answer those questions. So answer those questions up front
Right.
and sooner, right? Sooner
Right.
than
And
later.
Lynette, here's something that I found that in the times that I've asked these questions, they actually thank me because
Yeah.
they get to ask me the same question.
Yeah.
Because guys are just as afraid of being taken advantage of financially as women are worried
Of
about that
course.
as well.
Yeah.
And if I'm bringing it up, it takes the onus off of them and the uneasiness off of them to say, God, I really am glad you asked that. I wanted to ask you, but I didn't know how. And
Yeah.
and you also come across, as you said, very confidently, and everyone likes someone
Yeah.
who's confident. You know.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
So one last question. And this one I think I'm saving to the very end, but you know, while I was preparing to interview you, I went out and I did my own sort of research on some questions and such. And the one thing that is sort of consistently coming across when you're dating in, midlife and beyond is this sort of stereotypical of what a woman in her 50s or 60s or 70s looks like and such. And so
Mm-hmm.
I know that, we talked about this earlier, how sometimes you can manipulate the app so that your age isn't quite the exact age that you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that a lot of women in their 50s and 60s and or even like 40s, get a bit of a bad rap where men aren't really looking for that age group.
Mm-hmm.
We're thinking that they want somebody younger. And, I mean, I have been literally told, I really break the stereotypical of what a 50-year-old woman looks like. And I thought to myself, wow, first of all, thank you. But really, is that what men really think about 50-year-old women? Is that they're like old and, I don't know. Like, I was really shocked by that. And I think that does happen. Like, I think to show up in, in the dating app to the right person that you're looking for, sometimes you might have to manipulate the age, because you're not going to show up in somebody who, this guy's got this thought of, okay, well, I want to find somebody between 35 and, 48 kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But, there's lots of women in their 50s that still look like they're in their 40s, so tell me about that. Dating, age appropriate, dating to the point where, you're not in that age group.
Well, here,
But yet,
okay. So, Lynette, here, and I'm such a strong believer in this, that we show up as who we are. That
right.
I'm 66. I don't lie about my age. This is who I am. This is who I love. If you don't love me, that's fine too. If I'm too angry, that's fine. I don't think that we should ever misrepresent who we are. I think that we need to, as women, come across strong, confident, powerful, sweet, and feminine. That's very attractive. And if we feel that we need to market ourselves to get what we think we want, that's not the guy we want. Because the guy who we want is someone who is going to love us for who we are and embrace us and embrace what's wrong with us and embrace what's right with us as we will with them as well. I've seen guys who have lied about their age too, that they say they're 68, 69, and they're actually in their mid 70s, and that to me is a red flag that they're lying about other things too, that they're not confident. So I think that we need to own who we are. I think that we need to project. I hate using the word authentic self. The words, I hate it. I just think we need to be authentic. I think we need to show up and whoever the person is who finds us, who we attract, that's who we're meant to attract. If a woman has an idea that she has to be with a guy who makes X amount of money and who has X status and X cars, I think that may be right for her, but that isn't really what love is about. It's not about what you have. It's about what you give, what you offer, and how you can receive it, and how you can make things better for someone in a relationship. But I think that we just need to just stop worrying about age. And you could put in your profile, let's say that you want someone 45 to 60, then you put that in. Don't say that you're 45 to try to come across that you are 45. I will say this from experience. I was handling someone's dating app profile and the dates that he was going on. And now I can see what men see, and it's exactly what women see, that there are women who look really great for 50, and there are women that look like father time or mother time at 50. And there's a lid for every pot, and we are who we are. So
no, that's good. And you're right. I think, we talk about that all the time. Like, just embrace who you are, be your authentic self, just be confident in who you are. There's somebody for everybody. But you've got to put the work in too. I think, that this online dating thing is very, it's good because you can actually, you're brought more inventory, if you will, sooner. And so you can see what's going on. So that's good. But yeah, I think it's just a matter of, seeing it as a marketing opportunity and really getting out there. I love that the idea of rotational dating. I know that there are many women that cannot do that and many men that can't do that. They prefer to date one at a time. But if you're going to do that, then date quick and move on. Don't extend it for 6 months, 8 months, 9 months. If you know that this person isn't going to be for you because you asked the right questions up front, you are very clear on what you're looking for in somebody and what you're willing to tolerate, then I feel like you're ready to get out there and date often and date quickly so that you can get to that person.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
why, I brought up having professional photos done is because
Right.
we are marketing ourselves. We do want
That's
to
right.
attract the shiniest, prettiest bulb, whatever it is, whatever
Yeah.
euphemism you want to use. But it, you're going to have a better chance if you look good on the apps. It's just, Lynette, you've
Yeah.
seen pictures of men and you're just going, my God, what are you thinking? Or not
Right.
thinking. It's ridiculous. If this is your best shot, what are you going to be like in person? So,
Yeah. No, that's excellent.
yeah, you've got to come across strong.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. All right. Well, Lori, thank you so much. I think that was a great episode. I think there's lots of really great, helpful tips. Watch for the red flags, do the rotational dating, get super clear on what you're looking for upfront, and start asking those clarifying questions right at the very beginning so that you're not suffering fools. You're not wasting your time. You're moving along faster. And I think you're going to find that you're just going to be much happier in this dating game when you are moving fast through the people that you're meeting. So, Lori, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Where can people find out more about you?
They can go to my website, smartfunnysingle.com. It's all one word, and they can reach me through there. Yes. Also on LinkedIn under my name, Lori Mendelsohn. And that's it. Yeah, you can find me on my website. Thank you, Lynette.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks, Lori.
Okay. Take
Talk
care.
soon. Okay.